in the NBA. And your perspective on whether this is just the tip of the iceberg or whether or not it's just these guys that are involved here.
Definitely the tip of the iceberg. I can tell you from personal experience with my situation, they put me in a room while my attorneys met with United States attorneys and FBI agents. And in that room, I sat by myself, and stacked to the ceiling were boxes all marked John Gotti trial. And on a whiteboard was crimes that may have pertained to me: gambling 5 to 10 years, racketeering 5 to 10 years, money laundering 5 to 10 years. And really, before I could get my thoughts together, everybody entered the room, and Phil Scala, who was a supervisory special agent for the Gambino crime family, pointed his finger in my face and said that he had got John Gotti, and if I thought I was going to lie to him, that I was better off getting up and leaving right away. And, you know, with that, I told him everything I did, who I did it with, and how I did it. And, you know, when you're looking at many years in prison, I think these guys are going to sit down with the FBI and also tell what they did, who they did it with, and how they did it, and it's going to be widespread.
Tim, the thing that fascinates me is how there was some movement in comments from Adam Silver in advance of this Kash Patel press conference with the indictments and arrests made. How aware do you believe the NBA was at the charges that were eventually filed by Kash Patel?
100% were aware of what was going on. The NBA, back to the days of David Stern, was always one step ahead of everybody. Going back again to my case, they signed the TV deal, you know, worth billions of dollars when they in fact knew that the scandal had broken. It wasn't public knowledge yet. So they're very smart attorneys. They know exactly what they're doing, and they definitely knew about this prior to it leaking.
Tim, do you feel like like you said, the tip of the iceberg, do you feel like the things that will come out moving forward are going to be like more players that were betting on themselves when it came to prop bets? Or do you think it's going to be more of the coaches giving tips like we kind of saw with Damon Jones' situation?
I think it's all the above. I think there's going to be more players involved. I think there's going to be more coaches involved. I think in the past, NBA was able to cover things up and was able to get involved in investigations and squash them. I don't think that is the case this time. I think this guy, Patel, is all business, and he's not somebody that can be bought. And in the past, David Stern was able to buy different people, offer them jobs. You know, going back to my case, there was a United States attorney that left 3 months after I went to prison and took a job at a law firm, and then all of a sudden started getting all the outside legal counsel work for the NBA. So, you know, that's something that I believe is a thing of the past, and I think this thing is going to explode.
Do you the advent of the legalized gambling platforms, does that make it more likely that guys are going to give tips to others, or less likely in your mind?
I think it's more likely. Everybody's gambling. Everyone's enjoying it. Everybody's looking for an edge. And when you know somebody that's in a position of power, you know, you're going to try to get out of them what you can. And sometimes, maybe even unwilling, you're going to give a tip. But, you know, it's a way to really stop all this with the prop bets is only, you know, have the bets can be taken on the over, not the under. So this way, nobody can fake an injury or do something to the point where, you know, a bet would cash because somebody did something illegally. And, you know, it makes everybody play hard and try to get the over.
Tim, when it comes to the mob being related to this, how do these players, coaches get involved this deep into a mob family to then bring others into partaking, whether it's a poker game or tipping people off?
You know, again, from experience with myself, I went to high school with a couple people that were involved with organized crime, and I just met him for lunch one day, and next thing I knew, people were coming that were associated with organized crime, and I was in a car and I was being threatened because of something I had done in the past while gambling, and they knew that my contract with the NBA said that I couldn't place a bet of any kind, and they were going to expose me to the NBA, and I would lose my job, or worse yet, have somebody visit my wife and kids in Florida. So these guys are guys that don't mess around, don't play around, and when they want something, they're going to get it from you.
If there is a temptation or a fear for guys like Terry Rozier or Chauncey Billups who are making millions of dollars, would you assume that the temptation or fear is more for NBA officials who are not making that much money?
You know, I think it all comes down to who you're, allowed in your inner circle. And when you allow these guys in your inner circle, they have ways of, creeping in and slowly but surely getting the hooks into you. So, the money doesn't matter. I think the money is great, whether you're an NBA referee or you're an NBA player. And for me, it's just a situation where I started gambling and I got in too deep, and I started getting involved and hanging out with the wrong people. And the next thing you know, I'm giving tips that I shouldn't be giving.
Tim, I just am fascinated by the biggest names, which are so far left out. Obviously, Chauncey Billups, a Hall of Famer, coach of Portland, and Terry Rozier. But the Damon Jones component of this investigation that we heard about last week is the most interesting to me because of the tentacles with LeBron James. Is there any way the NBA will allow LeBron James to be brought into this?
I would think not, but I don't think that they're going to have a say. I think when you look at Ohtani in Major League Baseball, do you think there's any way that he didn't know $25 to $30 million was missing out of his bank account?
No.
I mean, I find that to be comical, but yet, all of a sudden he had no wrongdoing in the whole situation. So I believe that, this is going to be widespread. I don't think the NBA is going to have any say, and I think it's going to be extremely damaging.
I'm just on the Shohei thing, like how I know that how they did because nobody wants it to come out because the players union doesn't want it, the owners don't want it, the TV networks don't want it, so I get it. But that sting and that amount of money to be siphoned off over years is impossible to be done without the person knowing.
I agree with you 100%, and I find it actually comical that they sold that to the general public and then, all just, smacked their hands and said, it's over. And we're just supposed to all, think that that's the truth. I think it's actually comical.
Well, but that's exactly what the NBA did here with their own investigation on this, correct? I mean, if not for the FBI, the NBA had also investigated this and said there was nothing to it.
Absolutely. And they think that, that's okay, that whatever they come out and say that the public's going to believe and we're going to move on and act like, something didn't happen. And, I'm here to tell you this time it's not going to happen.
It's kind of like how the NBA still employs Scott Foster like nothing ever happened, like he wasn't talking to you 200 times. I mean, it's amazing to me.
Yeah, he was a good friend.
Yeah. And it's also interesting, because we were talking about other leagues, talking about the NFL, talking about officials and calls they make. And it doesn't have to be, you know this better than anybody, because of what I have read about the way you guys would sometimes do things. It doesn't have to be like in your face. This call is made at the end of the game. You guys would oftentimes, if I'm correct, take somebody that is going to be a meaningful player and hit them with a foul early in the game so as to set that up for later on. Am I correct about kind of that strategy?
Yeah, there were lots of times star players would bang somebody across the head, and you'd give the foul to some 5'10" white guy standing next to him because you didn't want to give that star player fouls that were going to send him to the bench, and you would openly discuss that people didn't pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to sit courtside to watch guys like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Shaquille O'Neal to sit on the bench. So you would avoid giving them fouls at all costs.
What information do you believe Adam Silver is working behind the scenes to conceal? Like, what is the most damaging element of this that could be released in an investigation by the FBI?
I think it's released. I think when you talk about Rozier, leaving a game so that an under bet would hit, you're basically compromising the integrity of the game, and it's out, and he's not going to be able to put the lid back on the can, and they have a major problem because people bet hundreds of thousands of dollars on these games. They love the action of the NBA, and the integrity of the game is compromised, and you don't go to a game without the intent of it being a fair playing field for both teams and all players, and obviously in the NBA it's not.
Tim, I don't know if you have the answer to this, but is there any part of you that doubts just how quickly the Celtics were able to get Garnett, Allen, and then the Lakers trade for Gasol in the year after the worst NBA Finals ratings ever, where your scandal broke? The Celtics and Lakers somehow miraculously meet in the NBA Finals as a means to get the attention back and the viewers back into the NBA.
No, there's no doubt. I remember when David Stern was being interviewed on TV and the reporter said to him, what's your marquee matchup in the NBA Finals? And he said it with a grin, but he said the Lakers versus the Lakers. I mean, the arrogance of him to sit there and say that on national TV, again, is something that's is comical, and it's a slap to the face of all these other fans that are in Sacramento and Milwaukee that are, trying to get to an NBA championship.
Kind of like how Dallas trades their best player and then gets Cooper Flag. Is that what you're talking?
Just the luck of the draw.
Is that what you're talking about, Tim?
Yeah, exactly.
Tim, I think it's been really interesting the way that you've talked about the college game coming into this, like how things could unfold with younger players being tempted with money to fix games. We've seen it happen in the past. Curtis and I both went to Boston College. How do you prevent this from snowballing?
I think education, you have to get in front of these kids and you have to let them know, they're going to ruin their lives if, in fact, they go down this road and they get involved with these people that they shouldn't be involved with. And, not only did I lose my job, I lost my family and I lost my freedom. So it's a situation where the punishment is very severe. And if you do get caught, it's going to be very severe. So you're better off staying away from it.
Tim, I did some time too in the Clinton jail, about 3 hours when I was 18. I was scared straight. It worked for you as well, right?
Yeah, try doing 15 months and 15 days in solitary confinement. Yeah, it works well.
Oh my God!
All right. Well, listen. Thank you very much for taking the time this morning. Interesting stuff from you. So I'm sure we may have the chance to have you on again, and we appreciate you taking the time this morning.
Great. Thank you.
All right. That is Tim Donaghy.